Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is October 9th, 2022. It's on Sunday, and it is raining outside. The man was ordered to go back to his home country because his passport was not valid. He was ordered deportation from the country. He was ordered deportation from the country. He was ordered deportation. He was ordered deportation. 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 He was ordered deportation. He was ordered deportation from the country for wrongdoings. He was ordered deportation for wrongdoings. He was ordered deportation from wrongdoings. For wrongdoings of wrongdoings. He was ordered deportation. He was ordered deportation for wrongdoings. The government has decided to deport some of the suspects for wrongdoings. There are more undocumented immigrants, I guess. The government estimates that the number of underestimated immigrants is more than the statistics. The government predicts that the number of undocumented immigrants is more than the statistics. Undocumented. The data are not undocumented. The data has yet to be documented yet. The data has yet to be documented. The data has not documented yet. The data have not documented yet. The data have not documented yet. The data have not documented yet. Undocumented. 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 Undocumented immigrant. Undocumented immigrant. The country has a problem of undocumented immigrants. Undocumented immigrants are crossing the border. Undocumented immigrants are crossing the border, striving for better life. The undocumented tourists were deported to their native country. The undocumented tourists were forced to go back to their country. The undocumented tourists were forced to go back to their countries. The undocumented tourists were deported to their native country. The undocumented tourist was deported to their country, to his country. Undocumented. Undocumented. The undocumented immigrant was deported to his native country. The undocumented tourist was punished for staying in the country beyond the limitation without a visa permission. The undocumented tourist was punished for staying in the country beyond the limitation without permission. I saw many signs read slow down on the expressway. I saw many signs read slow down, speed down along the expressway. I saw many signs read slow down on the expressway. I saw many signs on the expressway read slow down. The signs read slow down. The signs read slow down. The sign reads only cash is available. The sign reads only cash is available. 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 The sign reads 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 only cash is available. The electrical board reads slow down. The electrical board reads there has been an accident 1 kilometer away from here. The electrical board reads there was an accident about 2 kilometers from here. 2 kilometers away from here. The electrical board reads there was a car accident at the intersection. The District of Columbia stands for the Washington D.C. stands for Washington District of Columbia. District of Columbia. District of Columbia. The district is famous for Snack and Sweet Street. The district is famous for Snack and Sweet Street. Hmm. Have you ever been to Washington, D.C.? Have you ever been to Washington District of Columbia? Have you ever been to Washington, D.C.? Have you ever been to Washington, the District of Columbia? The District of Columbia. I have to go through the immigration first. We have to go through the immigration first. When we arrived at the destination, the international airport, we have to go through immigration on arriving at the international airport. The internet enabled us to communicate with each other from all over the world much easier. The internet has enabled us to communicate with people across the world much easier. 5G will enable us to work remotely much more. A lot more, very more, a lot more, much more, far and large more. My English study will continue. My English study continue. I will continue to study. I will continue studying. I'd like to see your reaction when you ate umeboshi, plum. It is very sour, very acid, so I'd like to see your reaction. My boss's reaction to my proposal was obvious from his expression on his face. He shook his head, saying no. The sign reads, slow down. The sign reads, slow down. I'd like to put an end my assignment. The assignment by the end of Friday. I'd like to put an end to a pile of tasks by Friday so that I can hang out on weekends. I'd like to put an end at the heap of tasks by Friday so that I can hang out and relax on weekends. Or I can also put an end on the end of weekends, Sunday, by hanging out on Friday and Saturday. But it's very risky. It is no guarantee that I can finish it on Sunday. It is very easy to say, but difficult to put it into practice. 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 Put it in practice. Put it in practice. Put it into practice. Put it in practice. Put it into 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 practice. It is very easy to say, but very difficult to put it into practice. Put it into practice. Put that into practice. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. No one will take action. Not many people will take action to make their dreams come true. Being afraid of making mistakes or big failure. Not many people will take actions so as to make their big dreams come true. Being afraid of huge failures. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. I should have taken action much earlier. I should have taken actions much earlier, and and made more mistakes when I was younger, so that I can be more perfect now. If I had made more mistakes when I was younger, I would be better now. The more we fail, the better we become. The more mistakes we make, the better we will become. The more mistakes we make, the better we will become in the future. The more mistakes we make, the better we will become. The more mistakes we make, the better we will become. Action. Deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action for the deportation. Deferred action, 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 deferred action was adopted, deferred action was adopted, deferred action was adopted, deferred action for the Olympic game was adopted, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action for the Tokyo Olympic game, deferred action for Tokyo Olympic game, deferred action for Tokyo Olympic game was adopted for 1 hour, 1 year, not 1 hour. Deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action, deferred action. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. No one will bring an action against such a trivial thing because it costs much money to file a lawsuit, because it costs to file a lawsuit. So no one will bring an action against such a trivial thing. It costs us a lot of money to file a lawsuit. It costs 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 to file a lawsuit. File a lawsuit. I should have taken action much earlier. I should have taken action. It's difficult to take action. Take an action earlier. At an earlier phase. At an earlier phase. At an earlier phase. It can be very difficult to take an action at an earlier phase. At an earlier phase. Action. Deferred action for Tokyo Olympic game. Deferred action. Deferred action. Deferred action for Tokyo Olympic game. The company has decided to bring an action against company B. The employee has decided to bring an action against the company A for power harassment. The employee decided to bring an action against the company A for the terrible abusement towards him. The employee has decided to bring an action against the company A for the terrible, horrible abuse towards him for almost 3 years. The employee brought an action against the company for a decade of abuse towards him. A decade of abuse towards him. The employee brought an action against the company for abuse towards him. The family of the employee brought an action against the company A because the employee passed away because of the abuse. No one will bring an action against trivial things. I will not bring an action against trivial things because it costs a lot to bring an action, to file a lawsuit. It costs a lot to bring an action. It costs a lot to bring an action. It costs a lot to file a lawsuit. I cannot allow the act. I cannot forgive the act. I cannot allow the terrible act. I cannot forgive the abhorrent act, evil act. I cannot allow the evil act. I cannot allow such an 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 evil act. The newly enacted act the newly enacted act is being criticized a lot. The newly enacted act has been criticized for obsolete. I cannot allow the act. The act done by the politician should be criticized. The act done by the employee cannot be allowed. The act done by the employee is intolerable. The act done by the man is intolerable. The act done by the man is not tolerable. The evil act done by the man is intolerable. The act done by the man is not tolerable. The bill is predicted to be passed into law. The bill is predicted to be passed into law today. It's very easy to say but difficult to act. It's very easy to say but difficult to put into practice, put it 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 into practice. It's very easy to say but difficult to act. Some people only to say. Some people only say and never try, never act. Some people only just say and never try, never act. Some people just say and never act. I try to act fast. I try to act early, at early phase, at an early phase. I try to act at an early phase. I wish I had bought Bitcoin about 10 years ago. Then I would be a millionaire now. I wish I bought a Bitcoin about 10 years ago, and I would be a millionaire now. How can I act as fast as you? How can I act as early as you? How can I act as fast as you? How can I act as fast as you? Some people or many people just say and never act. Some people just say and never act. What are you acting? I've acted Frankenstein at the show. Have you acted a doctor? Have you acted a ninja? Have you acted a samurai? Have you acted a ninja at the theater. People are apt to act a gentleman or a gentleman in boss's presence. People tend to behave well before boss or someone in authority. People tend to act well before someone in high authority. People are inclined to act gentlemen in front of people in high authority or boss. Employees are apt to act gentlemen before boss. Employees are inclined to act gentlemen before boss. People tend to behave well before boss. People tend to act nice people before boss. My friend has been acting conductor for 20 years. My friend has been acting a conductor for 20 years. My friend has been acting a conductor for 20 years. One of my friends has been acting a teacher, science teacher. Have you ever acted the role? Have you ever acted the role? Role. Have you ever acted the role? 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 I've acted the kids. I'm good at acting kids. I'm good at acting kids' voice. Are you good at acting kids' voice? Are you good at acting kids' voice? Are you good at acting kids? Are you good at acting a doctor? Are you good at acting a police officer? 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 Police officer. I used to act operating the machine. I used to act operating the machine. I used to act operating the machine. I used to act a teacher. 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 Act a teacher. Act a teacher. I used to act a teacher. What are you acting? Which character are you good at 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 acting? Some people like Edo era, Edo period. Which era do you like? Like Muromachi, Edo, Heian, Kamakura, and so on. Our safety is guaranteed to some extent by the law, under the protection of the law. Under the protection of the law, our right is guaranteed to some extent, to a certain extent. The houses are protecting us from rain. The houses are protecting us from the rain. There are some protected species in this sanctuary, so there are some rules we have to follow. There are some protected species in this sanctuary, so there are some rules that we have to follow. There are protected species in this sanctuary, so there are rules that we have to follow. Okay? Protected species, protected area, protected species, protected species. Protected species. With protectionism, the tariffs have been raised in order to protect domestic industry. In order to protect domestic industries, the tariffs will be raised by the government soon. With protectionism. The president with protectionism will raise the tariffs in order to protect domestic industries. Those with protectionism are claiming for the stop of the trading, and or raising the tariffs in order to protect domestic industries. Protectionism. 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 The tariffs were raised as protectionism. The tariffs were tariff. The tariffs were raised. The tariffs were raised as protectionism. The tariffs were raised as protectionism. The tariffs were raised. The tariffs were raised. The tariff. The tariffs were raised as protectionism. Tariff. 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 Tariff, 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 tariff. The tariff was raised in order to protect domestic industries. The tariff will be raised. The tariff is expected to be raised in order to protect domestic industries. The country criticized raised tariffs over some ingredients, some products. The country criticized the sudden raised tariffs over some products. The country criticized the sudden raised tariffs on some products, typical particular products. The country criticized the sudden rates of tariffs on particular products. Protectionism. The government imposed additional tariffs on some particular products as protectionism. 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 The government imposed additional tariffs on particular products as protectionism. Protectionism. The government has increased the tariffs on particular products as protectionism. 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 The tariff will be raised as protectionism. The tariff is expected to be raised a little bit more as protectionism. The tariff will be raised. The tariff is expected to be raised. It's predicted to be raised. It's predicted to be raised. The tariff is expected to be raised as protectionism. Protectionism. I strove to pass examination. 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 Everybody will strive to make their dreams come true. Everyone will strive to make their purposes come true. I strove to catch the last train, but I failed, so I went to a capsule hotel to stay overnight. There was a strive against the policy, against the postponing of the game. I'm striving against my disease. I've been 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 striving against the disease. I have 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 been striving against the disease. Everybody is striving against themselves to overcome difficulties, weakness, weak points, and so on. Everybody has been striving against their weak points. Everybody has been striving against their weak points. Everybody is trying to overcome their difficulties, weak points, weaknesses, and so on. Everybody is striving to overcome, get over, get through difficulties. The examinees have been striving against the examination. The examinees are now striving against the examination. The examinees are striving against the examinations now. The examinees are striving against the examination now. The examinees are striving against the examination now. I've been striving against myself. I've been striving against my weak points. I've been striving against my weak points. I have been striving against my weak points. I have been striving against my weak points. I have been striving against my weaknesses. I have been striving against my weak points. I have been striving against my weak points. Everybody is striving against their weak points, weaknesses, and so on. Everyone is striving against their weak points, weaknesses. Everybody is striving against their weak points. Everybody is striving against their weak points. Everybody is striving against their weak points. I hope there is zero strife. I hope there will be 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 zero strife. Zero strife. Zero strife. Zero strife. strife. There were some strifes in the region, in the district, in the area. Strifes have been continuing since a long time ago. There are many kinds of strifes. There are many kinds of strifes. I hope there will be zero strifes. There are many kinds of strifes. Do you have any ideas to resolve strifes? Strife. Do you have any ideas to eradicate strifes? Do you have any good idea to eradicate strife? Strife. I stifled my voice. Laughter. I stifled my laughter during the test. Strife. I hope there is zero strife. Strifes have been continuing for a long time, since a long time ago. Do you know how can we stop the strifes? How can we stop the strifes? Strife. I hope there is zero strife. Zero strife and peaceful world. Strife. I hope there is zero strife. I hope there is zero strife. Zero strife. The strife has been continuing. The strife has continued. The strife continued in a week, for a week. The strife continued for a week. The strife continued for a week. Congress. Parliament, Diet. The bill is expected to be passed into law in the Congress. The issue is being discussed in the Congress. Do you want to be a member of Congress? Do you want to be a member of Congress? Do you want to be a member of Congress? The issue has been discussed in the Congress. Are you familiar with the law? Are you familiar with criminal law? Did you learn 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 criminal law? Can you understand the law of physics? I cannot understand the law of the policy, of the principle. I cannot understand. I couldn't figure out. I couldn't find out the law of the serial numbers. I couldn't make heads or tails of the law of the figures. I couldn't make heads or tails of the law of figures. Law of physics. 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 I could not understand the law of physics when I took the first class of physics. It's of course because I didn't know at all about physics. Now I can understand the law of the physics to some extent, to a certain extent, to some degrees. law of physics, labor law, criminal law, educational law. There are many kinds of laws. There are many kinds of law. There are many kinds of law. There are many kinds of law. Law of physics, law of physics, law of figures, law of wind vane, law of temperature, law of nature, natural selection, law of natural selection, law. Law. Are you familiar with law? Did you learn law? Did you measure in 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 law? I'm bad at understanding the law of physics. I cannot understand the law of physics. Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you have friends with a lawyer? Is it lawful to drink alcoholic beverages under 20 years old in Japan? No, it's illegal. Drinking over the age of 20 is lawful, legal in Japan. If you are under 20 years old, it is not lawful to drink alcoholic beverage nor smoke a cigarette in Japan. Is it lawful? Is it lawful? Is it lawful? Lawful, 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 legal, legal, lawful, 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 lawful. Now it is lawful to vote at the age of 18. It is now lawful to vote at the election at the age of 18 years old. Now it is illegal. Now it is legal and lawful to vote at the age of 18. Vote. Now it is lawful to vote at the election at the age of 18 in Japan. It was legalized. The law was amended. The law was amended. Lawful, 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 lawful. Some activities are between the lawful and illegal, which is called gray zone. Some activities are between the lawful and illegal, which is gray zone. Lawful, lawful, lawful. Drinking alcoholic beverages and smoking cigarette under the age of 20 are not lawful in Japan. We are allowed to drink alcoholic beverages and smoke a cigarette over the age of 20 in Japan. We still have time to do the next trains. So meanwhile, let's enjoy English conversation. The train has been suspended for emergency stop for the earthquake, and I have not been informed of the new information yet. So once I get a new information from the railroad company, I will notify you. I will keep you notified. I will keep you updated. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. The train has been suspended for emergency accident. It sometimes happens, but please do not worry. I will keep you updated. Once I get the information, I will notify you. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. The cars are running on the left side of the road in Japan. Meanwhile, many other countries adopt the right side of the road. The driving seat is usually set on the right side of the car. Meanwhile, many other countries adopt left side driving seat. About 40% of the respondents are in favor of the policy. Meanwhile, the other 60% are against that. The musician is loved by many people. Meanwhile, there are also some people who don't like them. We still have time. We still have about 1 hour till the next bus. So meanwhile, let's walk around. There is a nice cafe nearby, so I will guide you there. If you want, I will take you there if you want. Some people are very swift. Some people move so swiftly. How can I move as swiftly as you? How can I move as swiftly as you? His movement is very swift. People in urban cities walk so swiftly. People in urban cities, especially in Osaka, walk so swiftly. Why do they walk so swiftly? Why do they walk so swiftly? Swiftly, swiftly, swiftly. Swiftly, swift, swift. I cannot take swift action. Not many people, I think, cannot make swift action, take swift action, because we tend to see how it goes. We tend to see how it goes by others. How it goes. Because we tend to see how it goes. For a while, make a decision. Before making a decision, because we tend to see how it goes before making a decision, and to see before we make a decision, because we tend to see how it goes before making a decision. I cannot make a swift decision. Can you make a swift decision? Swift decision. Can you make a swift decision? 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 I cannot make a swift decision. I also see how it goes. I also see how it goes and wait for others to do the same thing before making a decision. I also wait for others to do the same things and see how it goes before making a decision. How can I make a swift decision like you? I cannot make a swift decision as you. I cannot make the swift decision as you. Swift, swift, swift. Can you make a swift decision to anything? Can you make a swift decision? Can you make a swift action? Can you take a swift action? Can you take action? Can you take a swift 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 action? No, I cannot take a swift action. I cannot take a swift action. The more we get older, the slower our movement will be. The older we get, the more difficult we make the swift movement becomes. The older we get, the more difficult it will become to make a swift movement. The older we get, the more difficult it will become to make a swift movement. I try to move swiftly. I try to finish lunch swiftly. I try to finish lunch swiftly to have time for the rest. I try to finish lunch swiftly. I try to finish lunch swiftly, 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 swift, swiftly, 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 swiftly. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.